Okay, here we go. Part 3. I may just upload these as 3, parts 1, 2, and 3, so that it uploads faster and correctly. We'll see. Okay, next is, this was a freebie from Artisy. If you do not ever go on their website, you should. They do 2 free patterns every month, and they are spectacular patterns. This is mini colorful Christmas bells. Free. All I did was print it out, download it and print it. And I started this on February 2nd, 2023. It is on 18 count Picture This Plus Legacy with the called for DMCs. And this is where I am. And that is a lot of stitching. It doesn't look like it's a lot, but it's really a lot. And this is on Pattern Keeper clearly, because you can see how I managed to travel. So certainly makes it easier. And I love that one. I love working on it. I love that it was free. I've downloaded a couple of their free patterns just because they're just amazing. So this basket, last basket we're working on, is my problem basket. There are things in it that I don't love for one reason or another, usually related to me, but it just is what it is. But they will all, I'm not ditching anything at the moment. So next is Stony Creek, Autumn in the Village. I have all of these, spring, summer, and winter as well. So detailed, so much backstitch, which again, I saved to the end. I started this in May of 2019, and I'm doing it on 14 count Ivory Aida, Cream Aida, I'm not really sure. That's where the problem is. Don't like 14 count anymore. Would never, the me of today would never ever have done this on cream. I would have picked a really cool fabric color because I feel like all of this detail deserves that. But as you can see, too far along to quit. But think about that on a more autumn colored fabric. Wouldn't that just be amazing? And my plan was originally to stitch all 4 and then just interchange them with the season, but I will not be doing that because this will be the biggest one because it's 14 count. So, and I'm sure it'll be, I mean, looks lovely from a distance. And I'm sure with the back stitching, it'll be amazing. But I would have picked something a little more to help the colors pop. And I don't know why I didn't, except that that may have been when I was first getting back into, or first discovered FLOSSTUBE or something along those lines. And first time frame when I realized, what? I don't have to do 1 at a time to completion? Interesting. So I'm going to complete that, but everything else will be on a more, a fabric choice that more suits the season, because I do like all 4 seasons. And we do still get all 4 seasons in New Jersey, but we do not get harsh winters like when I was a kid. We had snow days every single year, and now I think they give kids snow days when they predict snow just so they could have a day off. This one is the Gold Collection Petite Cabin View. I don't know when I started this because I want to say that I bought this. I used to buy these to go on vacation with. Like we would take the kids on vacation, and they were usually beach vacations. So I'd be on the beach and would occasionally get the chance to stitch. but then I kind of put it away, and I think I pulled it back out like during the same time frame, Autumn in the Village, you know, 2019, like, oh, look, I can stitch on more than one thing. So it's beautiful, and you know, it's a Dimensions gold collection again. And look how close I am. Of course, then it's got 2 months worth of back stitch, but look at all those colors. It is no joke. The picture's tiny, and I guess the actual project isn't big, but you really don't realize how many colors are in there until you start, and then you know it. Okay, moving on. One of my favorites, Sleepy Hollow by Glendon Place. I don't even remember who I saw stitching this, but I think I paused FLOSSTUBE so I could go order this. Look how amazing. I to this day don't think I've seen a Halloween pattern, and of course there are thousands of them. I don't think I've seen one I like more than this one. Not really a Halloween person. I'm a fall person. Even when I was a kid, I think I was 9, and I stopped trick-or-treating because I'm like, why should I? My parents have the best candy. So, not a Halloween person, but my kids certainly all are. This is on 14 Count Haunted by Picture This Plus. That is the called for fabric, and I am using all the called for colors. Again, should I change anything about this? I would certainly change the fact that, wait, let me take it out of the Q-snap. I would certainly change the fact that it's on 14 count. That would not be a me thing again. Sorry. The Q-snaps are seriously no joke. All right. And this is where I am. So close. Getting there. It's a lot of stitching in there though. That moon, whoo! It's a Karen Water Lilies. It's lovely. And it's super easy to stitch with, but it is a lot of stitching. A lot. And it's going to be a lot of back stitching. All right. Oh boy. Oh boy. Avalanche. So this one, another old one. I have had this magazine since 1991. Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. Santas of Fable and Fantasy. It's in 2 pieces because that's how it was in the magazine. Again, picture doesn't really do it justice. The colors are fantastic. I started this, it was the November, December 1991 issue. It's stitched on 14 count vintage country mocha, and I started it in July of 2019. Again, could I make a change? I would probably do it on 18 count. I'm not going to take this one out of the Q-snap, but kind of get the gist. So this one, I am back stitching the Santas as I go. I don't even know why. Aren't they lovely colors? I love this one. And I'm doing a lot better with it now because I had it on a big scroll rod because I used to have a floor stand. I still have the floor stand. But the floor stand was kind of deteriorating, so the frame was always like sinking as I was stitching, and it just made it, so then I held it for a while or sat it across my lap, and that didn't work so good. But then I put it in this Q-snap, and I'm like, well, I'll just do what I do with everything. I just move the Q-snap. Brilliant. Brilliant idea. Works much better. Makes me want to stitch on it. Okay, next is another Dimensions Gold Winter's Hush. This was a Christmas present from my niece. I love this, even though not a big fan of all the sky. I'm kind of, you know, being a top left starter, you kind of get stuck in the trees a lot, on a lot of patterns. That's where the trees are. They're always top left. And that's where I am, in the trees. You know, it's dimensions, so it's like 9 colors of green and a black and a gray and a brown, and, you know, it doesn't look like it's that many colors. That's going to be a fun backstitch. But eventually I'll get to the fun stuff. But always top left start. I feel like we're always in the trees. Next, I don't even know how to show you this one. Oh, so Winter's Hush, it's a kit, and I started it May 12th of 2020. Another quarantine start. But I got it for Christmas that year, the year before. Next is Early Americans, and I stitched this on 14 count hand-dyed sandcastle, and I'm stitching it right 2/1. Okay, no kidding. Called for DMC. I'm using the Vanna Pfeiffer border, the red, white, and blue border, which I think really adds something to it. I've seen plenty of people do it without the border, because if you don't know, and you probably all know, Early Americans is a series of 9 patterns. You know, there's Betsy Ross, there's Martha Washington, and they've laid out a way for you to do all 9 on one piece of fabric. And then Vanna went ahead and added a border around the outside of the whole 9. So I'm going to show you what I have, but I cannot unscroll it. So I apologize for this one, because you're not really going to be able to see anything. But I am on the 4th one. I mean, just getting those borders in is something else. And it took me so long to get it this firm, I'm afraid to unroll it. And again, this probably is not fun for me for the same reason that the Santa's wearing. It's on this big, I mean, look at how big this thing is. And I kind of just hold it on my lap now because it doesn't really work. My floor stand is tired and wants to retire. So it doesn't want to hold these things up anymore. It used to be great. It used to be fabulous. It actually was one of the old school floor stands that actually had a slot. You could sit your chart in it, except now my eyesight would not lend itself to being able to see that far, even with readers on, to see that chart. The chart. I hang my chart. I have an Ottlight, a floor stand Ottlight, and it's metal, the base. So I put some, I use magnetic boards to hold my charts, and I just put some magnets, just sat some magnets on the leg of the floor lamp of the Ottlight, and they just stick right there. So I have the light over my head, and I just turn the lamp whichever way it needs to be turned, and I can see the chart. It's literally no more than 8 inches from my face, so that works out. So I would never go back to slotting it into the floor stand. Yeah, slotting it into the floor stand, and even that started to fail. Like, even that was getting wobbly. So this next one is Cooler Designs. It's called 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I know you can buy it as a chart, but I had the magazine. It came out in a magazine. Let me see if I can tell you what magazine. Issue number 10, November 2006. The Gift of Stitching. is literally what it says. I don't even remember that magazine. But that's where it is. So that's what it looks like. And you know, Cooler Designs puts out the Santas. I think they have a winter one. They have many themed, if you're a winter person, plenty of them. But this is 'Twas the Night. So it's the Christmas Eve one. I'm stitching it on 18 count vintage country mocha, and I started this on December 28th of 2020. And here's where I am. And that's really the beginning. That's just where it starts. And I like the smaller fabric. I mean the smaller squares. Again, it's going to be a boatload of backstitch, but it'll be worth it. I'm probably going to spend 3 years just backstitching as these all come together. Oh, another problem child. This one is When Cardinals Appear, Blackberry Lane. 2 different options. I'm doing this option. It says, when cardinals appear, a loved one is near. And the other option just doesn't have the wording. Wish I'd gone that road. So I had a couple of problems with this. This is stitched on 28 count dwarf Lugana from Picture This Plus, called for colors. I started this on March 28th, 2021. I don't know if that was start 1 or start 2. I'm not positive. But first time I put it on an opalescent. And there's so much white in this between the white stitching, the white French knots, and the opalescent fabric. I was losing my mind. So I then switched to the dwarf Lugana, 28 count, because there's a lot of words. You can see up here, it was all French knots that make a snowflake, essentially. I should not waste my time with French knots. It just is never gonna work. So I'm either gonna just redesign the snowflake, which is the easy answer, or I'll do it in beads, which is a little tougher, I think. But anyway, I finally said, you know what? Let me do some of the cardinal and make me feel like I want to go back to this. But look at that gorgeous fabric. I wanted like a wintry blue, like not summer blue sky, more like winter blue sky. Blue-gray sky. But it is a problem child for me. And it simply is because first I had the wrong fabric. I just couldn't power through. And then I'm like, why am I doing French knots? They look terrible. I'm terrible at it. Why are we doing this? There's other options. So, moving on. As I told you, live outside of Philadelphia. Philly girl at heart. This is called, I love history. I love, I'm particular to like the colonial times. Again, probably the Philadelphia influence. And, you know, there's kind of a joke when you are from around here and, you know, you work in the city, but millions of people work in Center City, Philadelphia. But there's also lots of tourists. So, you know, the tourists want to go on the, you know, carriage rides with the horses and whatever. And, you know, you're dealing with a local when they're like, get the horse out of the way, man. I'm late for work. And, you know, the tourists are like, oh, look, it's a horse-drawn carriage. But in all seriousness, I feel bad for those horses because, you know, if you were a horse, would you want to be walking down the street in Philadelphia with cars flying past you and horns honking? And no, you would not. So I feel bad for the horses. I hope they're treated well. Anyway, the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Terrible picture. Terrible quality picture. I've been in this room many times. However, as old as I am, I was not at the signing of the Declaration of Independence. I was just told it was in that room. So we're going to go with that. And it's fun. This is a fun one. Again, it's complicated, you know. This is also on Pattern Keeper. And I got this from Artisy. I don't think it was a freebie. I don't think this was one of the free ones. And let me see. I started this April 16th, 2021, and it is on 18 count Picture This Plus Heartland with the called for colors. So clearly that's a page finish right there. That's how I know it's Pattern Keeper. Because look at all that traveling down below here. I wouldn't have done that if I was using the paper chart, which I still keep the paper charts on the magnetic holder on my OttLite even when I'm using Pattern Keeper. I don't know why, but I do. I'm gonna move that glass of water before I end up wearing it. Two left, we're almost there. Okay. I'm wrong, one left. In keeping with the Philly theme, this is Let Freedom Ring by Lila Studios. We all know this one. I've seen this in various stages of finish. I started this September 2020 on 28 count. Picture This Plus Legacy Lugana. This, I believe, was actually my first foray into over one. And boy, did that take a minute. I love this. I mean, no matter how many times I've seen that building, it just honestly never gets old. And here's where I am. And I was just working on this last week, and I got this done. This is finished, and this brings me to a page bottom. I love this. I love, love, love this. And this fabric is so much nicer than it looks. Please ignore the wrinkles. I'm probably making some of you so crazy. I'm sorry. With the wrinkly fabric and the whole leaving the Q snaps on and all of that. I'm sorry, but I'm really not. Oh, hold please. I'm really not sorry because it's just the way I do it. So that is everything, I think. Looks like that's everything. Oh, wait a second. Yep, that's everything. So hopefully you liked some of what you saw. Hopefully I didn't make a total fool out of myself. Hopefully this uploads in 3 parts should I decide to do that. And hopefully I'll be back, and maybe next time, in addition to showing you what I stitched, I will either show you some stash, or maybe I'll show you my fall pieces that are hanging around the house right now, like literally hanging around the house. Because I do like fall. I like stitching fall. I like all the colors. And I will probably only come back once a month. Because again, like I said, I spin that tiny decisions wheel, and like that turn back time, that was 5 days of work just to do the clock. Okay, so that's one project in 5 days. So if I came back in 2 weeks, what would I have, 3 projects to show? Doesn't really make any sense. So the next time I come back, I will probably I'll probably show you some of what I've got kind of in the pipeline. I've recently bought a lot of stash. So real quick, I'll tell you one story. We're only at 25 minutes in this episode. I told you I turned 60 in September, and my husband was away on business. He travels a lot in September and October for work, and he was away on my birthday, but my birthday was a Tuesday. He felt horrible about it, like horrible. And, you know, under normal circumstances, I would kind of tease him and say, oh, you're leaving me on my birthday. But he just felt so horrible. I couldn't even in all good conscience make him feel any worse. So he was like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to drive down with the dog to Cape May and wander around and go in the cross-stitch shop and, you know, maybe I'll blow some money for my birthday. So my actual birthday, which was a Tuesday, it was the most gorgeous September day, and I opted instead to go to the beach. But then that Thursday, I'm like, well, I still like this Cape May idea. So I did. I drove down and I put a little dent in my cross-stitch budget. And as a result, there are several things I would like to start. And I've also, I found one of my unicorn charts that everybody says was available, but honestly, it took me a month to find it, called Summer Ball. And I'll show that the next time. I can't remember. There's two designers, two women, and I can't remember their names. Debbie and Nancy, whatever. I'll show it to you. I really want to start that, but that I'm going to make a lot of changes to because I feel like the are a little washed out looking. You know, it's like the Regency era, I would say, and the women's gowns in the picture are a little pale. So I think what I'm going to do is pull all the called for colors and see if it's just a bad photo, because we know, or if it's really boring colors or too pale for my taste. And also, I was getting ready to start the Haunted Library, Lola Crow. Who does not love Lola Crow? Genius. Absolute genius. Right up there with Aaron Houston, Autumn Lane. Different style, but both geniuses. So I was going to start the Haunted Library, and while I was putting a dent in my husband's, in our bank account, on behalf of my husband being away for my birthday, while I was at Stitch by Stitch, I came across the Lola Crow, that just the one that just finished, the aquarium, Deadly Aquarium. So I'm like, oh, do I want to start that one? So maybe I'll ask you to help me, not now, because I have a few things to get through, but maybe the next floss tube that I do, I'll ask you, I'll pick out a couple that I want to start, those that I mentioned, and there may be one more, and you guys tell me, and whichever one most people want me to start, I will start. And this way that takes the decision out of this Virgo's hands, as hard as that is. But if I can't decide, I could use help deciding. So that's it for now. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and I will probably upload this in 3 parts because it's probably going to be way too long to do it all at once. And who wants to hear me talk for 2.5 hours, right? So you can watch it in 3 parts. And I'll probably be back in a month if I can make that work, and we'll see what I've gotten done so far. Yeah, and that's it. Thanks for listening, and hope you guys are all okay out there. Talk to you later.